We're about to start the LEGO Racers event. But before that, we have two more donations. One from Cam, $25, saying, "So hyped for LEGOthon this year. Put this donation towards a Toad Death Star incentive for LSW2." And also, VincentAuron, $10, saying, "Red car, go vroom." So at this point, it seems like the red car aficionados have really sealed the deal here. Of course, anything can change. We have actually we have negative minutes till the run starts, so we will get started on that. We are in, so just one moment while we get some stuff set up. All right. We're getting some stuff sorted out right now. Flakes' stream seems to be in small mode. But in the meantime, why don't we introduce the run? Grill, if you wanna get started on that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, hello everyone. This is Lego Racers, and my name is Grill. I'm a tasser in the community and a very amateur speedrunner myself. Today we're gonna have an any percent glitchless race between Flakes, Jeynick, and Vincent. They are three of the top four speedrunners for this category. So the difference between any percent and any percent glitchless is just as the name implies, there are no glitches. There is a very heavy glitch category for this game that abuses some lap skipping glitches. There will be none of that in this race here. So we're going to drive all the races as normally as the developers intended. It's a pretty fun race, pretty fun category. I really enjoy LEGO Racers as a game just because of all the cool themes of the tracks. I'll bring those up as we go through each race each track in the race. So LEGO Racers actually is turning 25 years old this year. Its birthday is next month in August, so this is a pretty hype time to be playing LEGO Racers. It is not the oldest game in the marathon. LEGO Island has it beat by 2 years, but it's still cool that there's a community for any of these very old LEGO games. So I should also note that there are two different versions of this game. There's actually like three different versions of this game, but there's two main ones: the 1999 original release and then the 2001 re-release. Jeynick and Vincent are playing on the 1999 version, while Flakes will be playing on the 2001 version. And the main difference that we'll notice is hitboxes. So Flakes' hitboxes are much larger than the 1999 version hitboxes. For whatever reason, they changed. So Flakes will have some slightly different strategies that we'll note as they come up during the run. But it's interesting that the same game just has very different things like that, like hitboxes. There's also some different driving mechanics that we'll talk about more as the run gets going here. And I believe the incentive is for the red car. So all racers made their own custom cars for this race. Um, and I'll talk a little bit more about why the cars look like they do as we start the race here. And then, as a donation incentive for me and I think the other runners, if anyone has a lap in any race at any time that is over 40 seconds, that's a horribly bad lap time for pretty much any track. We'll be donating $5 for each lap that is over 40 seconds. Probably going to cap that at like $50. I don't think it will happen that often, but there are three runners. There are 25 races, which is quite a few laps that can be have the potential to be over 40 seconds. So hopefully that total is low and doesn't break my bank. But anyway, this is for charity, so who cares if it does? And then there are a few other later donation incentives that I will mention as they come up that are extremely unlikely for them to happen. But if they do, that's just more money for charity. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, you see Jeynick and Vincent are just kind of racing around, messing around. This is the test track. So one of the cool features of LEGO Racers is that you can build your own car. It's pretty minimal. Like if you've played Lego 2K Drive, that car building is much more fleshed out as it should be. 24 years after this game was released. But you can build your own cool cars. So we can see two of our cars here. These are the red builds, obviously. And you'll notice they're very boxy, very rectangular prism like. And LEGO Racers has a mechanic where the more bricks you have on your car, the heavier your car is, and the heavier your car is, the higher top speed you can have. So generally, if you like watch runs on SRC, you'll most cars that you see are just like big boxes, big old box cars. because we try to get as many bricks on them as possible, so they can have as high of top speed as possible. You see Jeynick here, he's just kind of messing around in the build. You can do quick build, you can go in. As you progress through the game, you gain more brick sets that you can use when building a car. For the any percent glitchless and regular any percent categories, you're limited to the first 4 sets that they give you, which are just like standard bricks, race car set bricks, some castle themed bricks, and some space themed bricks as well. And then the other thing to note is that there are 4 different chassis that you can start with. You have a turbocharger chassis, scooter. So these are like the characters that you can pick. There are 4 default characters that you can pick. And I'm actually going to stop that now because it looks like Flakes is good. So Jeynick and Vincent, if you guys want to get ready, head over to the circuit select. We will get this going momentarily. Dang, Flakes, that's a sick car. That looks cool. I guess we're just having a lot of fun driving around this test track here. But anyway, so as you progress through the game, you get brick sets, you get different chassis that you can use later on. So we're going to start here. Circuit 1, Captain Redbeard, Racing Champion. So if racers, you want to get ready, racer select. So for the person starting the timer, there's going to be 2 countdowns actually. The first countdown is just to sync up all 3 of our racers so that they are ready to go. So they can start the circuit at the right time, and then I'll do another countdown when the race actually starts. The second countdown is when the timer should start. So if you want to get on the racer select screen, we will go from there. All right, so 3, 2, 1, go. Slight delay, but we're getting there. Maybe we're getting there. All right, slightly off, but that's fine. We'll fix it later. All right, so at the start of Flakes is 3, 2, 1, go. Timer starts. All right, so the first thing you'll notice is that everyone's kind of doing the same strat. This first track, Imperial Grand Prix, pirate themed, a very fun introductory track. So the first thing you'll notice is that there are many different color bricks around the track. There are red, blue, yellow, and green bricks. Those are the power-up bricks, and then there are white bricks, which sort of strengthen the power-up that you have. The most important brick color is green. You'll see everyone has flight right now. That is the third power-up, the third strength power for the green power-up. And you'll see them warping a lot. The warp power-up is 1 green brick and 3 white bricks, and you want to warp pretty much as many times as you can. That's the fastest way to go through the tracks. And again, you can build up a warp by getting a green brick and 3 white bricks. You'll notice sometimes that they'll use their warp right before another white brick, and essentially once you use your power-up, it immediately removes itself from your inventory. And at any given time, you can have at most 3 white bricks. So if you use your power-up, and then you are moving into a white brick as you start your warp, you'll be able to pick up another white brick to use for another power-up later on. And so that was a very fast track. Most of these tracks are less than 90 seconds, maybe, minute 40 at most. So this is going to be a pretty quick run. I'll try to describe as much as I can see. Second track here, Dark Forest Dash. This is the Dark Forest theme, which is sort of Robin Hood, or to avoid copyright in America, it's Rob-N Hood. So you'll see all 3 runners are going to get flight, and they're going to go through the shortcut here to pick up a white brick. They'll do what we call the DFD trick, which is flying, which is a very tough mechanic. Flying is very hard to do. It's definitely not an easy mechanic, especially on the 99 version. So what they're trying to do here, and we'll see Flakes about to do it here again on the left. So he's going to fly into this white brick. He's going to make a sharp turn right into that white brick there. You want to pick up that white brick. And then you get this green here into another white, and you warp. And so that's pretty much what we do all 3 laps. A lot of this game is adapting to what the CPUs are doing. Each CPU, including the circuit boss, has one of 3 set paths that they will always take every race. And that's sort of decided randomly, but they have a pool of 3 different paths that they can take for any given race. And so sometimes they'll have a bad path, they'll get in the way, they'll pick up bricks that you want, they'll swap bricks around, and I'll talk about brick swapping a little bit later on. But you really just have to sort of adapt to what the CPUs are doing, given what you want to do for the race. So that was Dark Forest Dash. Over on Flakes' screen, he is on to Magma Moon Marathon, which is Explorians themed, a very cool space theme. And so again, as with most races, we're going to pick up 3 white bricks, and we're going to get a green brick, and then we're going to warp. And so, thing to note on Magma Moon Marathon, so there's over there on the left side, there's a panel with blue and red squares. And so you want to take note. There are 3 squares. They can be either red or blue. You want to note what order they're in. And then when Flakes gets back around here, he's going to fly here, and he wants to fly through these colored gates in the order that they were listed on the panel. So he just did a red, red, blue, which is incidentally the wrong code. So look at Jeynick, he's got a red, blue, blue, and that's going to open up this shortcut right here. So there's 3 white bricks here. He's going to pick up 2, warp into the 3rd one, and then he's flying way, way over here. So we're already back here, already on lap 3. Again, so he's picking up, Flakes is doing it too, he's got the warp, picking up greens, absolutely hauling through this race. There is actually a second shortcut on Magma Moon Marathon that we unfortunately won't see, at least this time around, but there's something called the Rock Cut. You can use the blue power-up, which are fields, to open up a second shortcut that has 3 white bricks and a green brick inside that you can use to warp. And now here we are, Jeynick and Flakes are on to Desert Adventure Dragway, which is the Adventurers Egypt theme. And it looks like Jeynick, unfortunately, either blew up high or got hit by Captain Redbeard. And we are going to open up this shortcut here. So you're going to shoot a cannonball, which is the red power-ups, at the Sphinx, and that opens up our first shortcut. Really our only shortcut. But watch Vincent's screen. So Vincent's going to do this random warp turnaround. He's going to actually end up in the shortcut without opening it with a cannonball. So what we discovered is that if you follow the warp paths that you take, we're not really sure how they're decided, how they're determined, but they take the same path as one of the red power-ups. There's you can get 3 missiles. And we noticed that the missiles always head to the shortcut. And so if you warp, you can actually warp past the wall that initially stops you from getting into the shortcut, but will put you inside of the shortcut. So you can, oh, nice hook from Vincent there. That was a nice grapple. The grapple power-up is very underutilized, but it can gain a lot of time. It can give you a lot of speed. If you get 1 white brick and 1 red brick, you can get a grapple hook, and that essentially shoots at the nearest CPU, and you kind of hook onto them and gain speed as you go by them. And that is Circuit 1. Redbeard, Circuit 1 completed. Looks like Jeynick has a slight lead over Flakes and a slight lead over Vincent, probably about 5 to 10 seconds between the both. And that is Circuit 1. We will see all these tracks again. So the way that LEGO Racers works is that the first 3 circuits are original tracks, and then circuits 4, 5, and 6 are the first 3 circuits, but the tracks are all mirrored. So we will see them all again later on, and then the final circuit is just 1 race, Rocket Racer, and we'll get to that at the end of the run. So, first race of Circuit 2, King Kahuka, Tribal Island Trail, the Islanders theme. So if you watch Vincent's screen over on the right, he's going to try and do what we call the funny boost. Flakes actually tried it as well, but it did not work. Ooh, Vincent's going to get it though. So you want to bump the boss of the circuit, which is Kahuka, ahead so that he's ahead of you, and then you could do this insane grapple all the way to get him, and that just flies straight. You're hauling, you're moving fast, and we want to move fast in a race like this. And yes, also Flakes switched cars. So Flake, with his massive 2001 hitbox, actually uses a different car for Kapuka, and then the mirrored circuit of that later on, because he does some interesting white brick pickup strats. He's so wide that at certain times he can pick up multiple bricks at a time, given how close they are together. So right now Jeynick is doing the TIT flying strat. So you basically move. You grab the one of two green bricks, which are very awkwardly placed on this track. There are only two green bricks. They're both in the off-road, and you want to just kind of fly and pick up some other greens into a warp. They're all doing it. Everything. We're moving fast here. This is a quick race. But all of the green bricks on this track are in the off-road. There's only two, and that means the CPUs will never pick them up. Flakes is taking some interesting routing here, but I like it. We need more of that. And just like that, Jeynick is now in first. Vincent and Flakes close behind in second. That was pretty good. Moving on here to Royal Knights Raceway, which is the Royal Knights theme, which is a sub-theme of the Greater Castle LEGO themes. So right here, we're going to go into this hallway, pick up two quick white bricks, and then hop into this shortcut here. So there's a white brick and a green brick in here that allows us to warp. We will be moving through the castle here, picking up some more greens. Basically, if you're not warping, you want to just be picking up greens and using them whenever you can, because boosting is always faster than driving normally. So as you see, Jeynick's got another white, so he's going to turn into the shortcut, just grab the white and then warp so that he's not in the off-road too much. So he wanted to get that white brick on the left there, but it wasn't going to spawn in time. Just another thing to mention is brick spawn time. So all the colored bricks, once you pick them up, will respawn in about 4 to 5 seconds. There's a slight delay in when you see them again and when you can pick them up, but generally after about 4 to 5 seconds you are able to pick up the bricks again. White bricks work a little bit differently in that when you pick them up, they will not respawn until they have been used, which is where CPU disturbance comes into play. If a CPU picks up a white brick and then just never uses it, it will never come back. It will never respawn back to the location it is normally at, which can be really unfortunate for speedrunning, because usually you need the white bricks that are on the track. So that doesn't seem to have happened so far, but again, there's a lot going on. So you see Jeynick and Flakes are on to Ice Planet Pathway, which is the Ice Planet 2002 theme. Another very fun theme that I enjoy a lot. So if you look at Vincent's screen here, he's actually going to try and do a... Oh, nope, just kidding. He's not going to do that. I thought he was going to do some fancy warp strats, but not today. That's fine. So you'll take this shortcut here that Flakes is going through now. It sets you up perfectly for a warp. There's 3 white bricks and then a red and a green at the end. You pick up the green, you warp, and you're good to go. And again, a lot of this is just getting yourself up to warp speed. You know, going as fast as you can. I haven't seen anyone do it yet. Oh, Flakes is going for the warp. That was a sick turn. I like that a lot. So one thing that we haven't seen any of our runners do yet is a George check. And so the way you can play in LEGO Racers, your camera can be zoomed in or zoomed out or first person. There's a couple different views you can take. So Flakes is doing it right now. He just zoomed out. And that allows you to see over this hill a little bit more. He didn't actually need it because he already had a full warp, but he just picked up an extra white anyway. So if you zoom out, you're able to see over the hill a little bit more easily, and you can determine if either of those white bricks are there that you need for warp. So all the players used to play with the camera slightly zoomed in. I think everyone except maybe Green plays with it zoomed out fully now. So we don't George check often, but it's always nice to mention it. And then Jeynick here, last race of Circuit 2 is Amazon Adventure Alley, I believe, AAA. We usually use abbreviations. I don't always remember the name. But this is also an adventurers theme. It is their jungle theme. So right away, you just saw Vincent. He goes straight through the waterfall. That is a shortcut. All the tracks except for one have a shortcut, and I'll talk about which one doesn't in just a minute here when we get to the track. If you go straight through that waterfall, it saves a little bit of time from going around. There's also a white brick in the cave behind the waterfall that you definitely need. It helps you build up an early warp here that you see Flakes is doing now. So he's got an extra white brick to spare, so he can warp right into the corner, pick up that corner white brick, which is otherwise a little bit more difficult to pick up. Requires you doing a super slide, and so that's a mechanic we can talk about. You might see sometimes our racers are turning and they're leaving some tire tracks behind them. So you can turn normally just by using left and right, but you can also, unfortunate for Jeynick, he has the yellow brick that was swapped, which again I will talk about right after this, but there are 3 different ways that you can turn. So you can turn just normally by pressing left and right. You can also hold the space bar or whatever you map it to, but it's what's called a power slide, and it's just holding accelerate left and then space. You can think of it kind of as holding R in Mario Kart when you go to do a drift. And then you can do what's called a super slide, which is holding forward, backward, like brake, accelerate, and then spacebar and turning left or right. And that allows you to turn extremely sharply. It's not used super often, but it does occasionally pop up in the runs here. So it looks like Flakes is back in the lead after 2 circuits, followed by Jeynick and then Vincent. And then real quick, I'll mention brick swapping, because we're going to see that here on Night Marathon. So Flakes is also switching back to his other car. Again, he only uses the huge hitbox car for 2 circuits, but now we're on to Night Marathon, which is the Fright Nights theme. Another great LEGO theme. So brick swapping. For example, if you have a red brick in your inventory and you drive into a blue brick, you will swap bricks. So you will pick up the blue brick, and then where the blue brick was will now be the red brick that you were holding. And it will stay that way until someone else picks it up. We call that cleansing the brick. So if you cleanse the brick, when it respawns, it will respawn back to the color that it normally was. And so here you see Flake picking up the blue, driving into the red to manipulate Basil, who will be driving around later to... So he'll pick up a blue instead of a red, and he would normally hold the red because he won't shoot. He won't use his cannonball or grapple power up if there's not someone directly in front of him. So because it's a shield and he's holding a white brick that we want, he will use the shield, and therefore the white brick will then respawn so we can use it again lap 3. So brick swapping, it's not, we don't use it often. This is one of the only tracks that you actually do the brick swapping with. You may have noticed Vincent did some brick swapping on the previous track. He swapped in a red brick for the green, and that's just to have, he knows the CPU will pick that up and change it back to green later on. Looks like all racers had a pretty successful Night Marathon here. Vincent a little wonky coming out of that warp, but as long as he's got the bricks up here, looking rough. He's waiting. No. All right, so Vincent's going to be doing what we call a dragon warp. Get your dragon warps in chat. And he just picks up that white brick by the dragon, and he warps there instead. It's slightly less optimal than warping normally, just because you kind of warp really close to the finish line, and you don't get as much of the speed benefit of coming out of a warp. And so now Flakes and Jeynick are on to Pirate Skull Pass, PSP, another pirate theme track. And Flakes and Jeynick are right now doing what we call the PSP trick. And so they're basically warping into a green brick in a very specific location, and then they come out of the warp directly into a green brick, where they can then pick up 2 more. Vincent's about to do it here as well. Right there, green, and then this white. So he's got 2. And he's ready to warp right here. And so we're going to try and do that all 3 laps. That is the fastest way. And Vincent has an amazing, a sub 27. Flakes also had a sub 27 lap 1. That is an insane, and Jeynick was basically there, 27:01. Those are very fast lap 1. So Jeynick, again, is going to warp where intended. Flakes had to take a slightly different strat, but it worked out. And he actually had a random green swap, so he'll be able to use this probably I don't know when he'll be using it. He'll have it in his inventory just in case this was swapped, but it's not. But it wasn't there, so that actually worked out really well for him. Unfortunately, he's one white short, so he's going to nab this one here in the corner. And then he might have to wait here a little bit. Oh, nope, good respawn. So Flakes is going to be in a really good position to... he had a really good PSP overall. He's going to drive. Right here left is the shortcut, in quotes. It's not really any shorter because it's off-road, but it has 2 white bricks that he can use to warp. So Flakes had a very, very solid PSP. Jeynick with the nice grapple to avoid the 40-second lap. My wallet is happy. So that was a good backup. And then Vincent coming around here, just going to grab this green, probably boost here. So over on Flakes' screen, he's on to Adventure Temple Trial, or Trail, which is another adventurous theme, and he's doing the Mickey Mouse strats here. He's not doing what Jeynick is about to do, which is take a hard right into the shortcut here. And that looked like a bumpless. That's what we want to see. So Flakes was doing... I'm not really sure what Flakes was doing there. But that doesn't matter. It's all good fun. So Jeynick is doing the normal strats here. So he's flying through this kind of tight flying section. And then he's going to warp right here, pick up the white brick. So yeah, he has a white in the inventory, and then he knows up here on the left there's going to be a green brick. And then he's going to pick up these 2 white bricks here, and he's not going to warp immediately. So what's fastest is to wait until you get back, and then you go in the shortcut here, and then you warp through the shortcut, which cuts off a significant chunk of the track. So Jeynick is actually doing really well here. He's got flight, he's got warp, and now he's going to try and pick up 2 bricks. Oh, they're both there? Nice. So he picks up both white bricks here so that he can have 1 extra in his inventory, or in case there is 1 missing up here. So luckily for him, they're both here, so he's just going to grab 1. He's going to do the same strat, so he'll be warping into the shortcut again. Looks like a little less lucky for Vincent over there. Oh, 43-second lap. Flakes had a 49-second lap. Oh my goodness. All right, that's $10. Chat, help me remember. We've got 2 40-second laps. Jeynick getting rocketed here and just warping out of there. Oh my goodness, this is chaotic. I'm not even sure what to say here. Just this is part of the game. ATT, you have to just adapt. You have to just whatever it throws at you, you have to be ready for it, because this track is absolutely just a chaotic mess. So there we go. Jeynick finishing first, Flakes closely behind, Vincent getting his warp out. That was one heck of a race, I tell you what. And now, all right, Jeynick on the last race of this circuit, Alien Rally Asteroid. So Alien, the UFO themes, and then also combined with the Insectoid themes, both great late 90s LEGO themes. This is one of the best tracks. This is highly regarded as one of the best tracks in the community, just because of how often you're boosting. It's just very fun to be boosting all the time. So I'll talk about it when Vincent comes around here because I missed it. But there is a shortcut on this track that you need a cannonball for, or any red power up really. So Vincent's going to drive into this red. He's going to shoot this wall open, and this is going to open us up to some greens and a white. Vincent's going to warp right there, and that basically takes you back to the start of the lap. So Flakes is going to do, he's going to drive just into the green. So Flakes has the capacity, he has the hitbox to pick up both the white and the green brick there, which he just did right there. He just boosted right between 2 bricks, and he got them both because of how wide his hitbox is. You cannot do that on 1999 version. The hitboxes are not wide enough for you to pick up both of those without doing some crazy turning shenanigans. And this is pretty tight. Jeynick and Flakes are pretty much tied after 3 circuits. This is pretty hype. Vincent is about to try and do what we call the UFO boost. Unfortunately, he didn't get it, but if you use your shield at the right time, as the UFO is passing over you, it will actually rocket you forward. You will have an insane speed boost for whatever reason. I don't actually know the mechanics behind it, but that's not for me to know. That's just how the game works. And that is ARA for Vincent as well. So now we are 3 circuits in. and we have 3 more to go before Rocket Racer. And so now we're going to start seeing the mirrored tracks. So Johnny Thunder is the circuit boss for this track, and so this is, again, Desert Adventure Dragway, but it is mirrored. So we've seen all these tracks before. It's just now you turn right instead of left, things like that. So both players here going for the new warp strat. So they're going to hit this green, turn around. They should enter right into the shortcut, pick up those white bricks, and then have a warp. So now what they're going to do is what we call the DAD bounce. Flakes didn't get it, but Jeynick did. So when you're coming out of a warp, on this track specifically, for whatever reason, if you hold neither accelerate nor brake, you will just like bounce and have a ton of momentum. Because you're not holding accelerate or brake, your car's just like not slowing down at all. There's no friction against your car. Unfortunate cannon there for Jay, and Flakes looks like missed it again. Vincent's going for it right here. There he goes. So boom, we're just flying, and they're not holding accelerate or brake at all. It's just some unfortunate RNG there for Vincent having that red brick swapped out. So he's probably just using those out of anger because he'll have plenty of bricks to spare. And that looks like DAD for Flakes and Vincent again, or Flakes and Jeynick, excuse me. Vincent on to lap 3 again, getting the dad bounce. I like it. And so now Jeynick and Flakes are back onto Magma Moon Marathon, again mirrored. So we've seen all these tracks before, but now they're mirrored. Still just as fun, still just as good. I should mention that each circuit boss has sort of their own preferred power-up. So Captain Redbeard, he loves shooting those cannonballs, which makes sense as a pirate. King Kahuka prefers to use shields. Basil will not use... I don't think Basil will use a cannonball or a grapple hook. He waits until he has at least 2 whites and a red in his inventory to use the magic wand, which sort of looks like a streak of lightning, or the 3 rockets that you can shoot off. So it looks like Jeynick got his shortcut. Flakes remembered the code this time. Good job, Flakes. And on to lap 3. So it looks like Jeynick is actually going to do the rock cut. So you pick up shield. Unfortunately, the white brick he wanted wasn't there, so he's going to have to sort of do a U-turn here. But right here, this rock is flashing, and it's flashing because he's using shield, which are the blue power-up. Flakes is doing it too. So they're both in there. It's a little quick cut. It's slightly slower than doing the normal lap 3 strats, but it works out just the same. You still get a warp out of it. Vincent, nice navigating there through that last blue gate to get his code correctly. And Jeynick back to Dark Forest Dash. So back to the bosses and their preferred power-ups. Johnny Thunder, he loves boosting. He's the green brick guy. So he's a big fan of the boost, and then I'll cover the other circuit bosses as we get to those races. Let's see. Another thing about the CPUs, there is no rubber banding in this game. It's not like Mario Kart 64 where they're flying right on your heels the entire race. There's absolutely no rubber banding. As you may have noticed, we lap them on certain tracks. So the CPUs have no rubber banding, which, I don't know, I think it's kind of good. I don't think rubber banding is strictly necessary, and it kind of makes for interesting races because they're always getting in your way when you don't want them to get in your way. So over here, Jay and Flakes are... Jeynick is a little bit ahead, but Flakes is right behind him. Vincent missed a green somewhere and is unfortunately going to have to just drive up this hill, hopefully known as a cannonball. So he's got his warp ready to go. And he's going to warp into this green, which is slightly earlier than normal, but it doesn't really matter. So he just has like an extra boost now that I guess he'll use there. So you saw there momentarily on Flake's screen, there's a ghost that flies around the track. Only in one specific spot, and he's only on the track for a short period of time. But if you hit the ghost, he'll sort of like spin you around up in the air. It can really throw off your race, and you can even hit the ghost in a warp. So like you'll notice it because your character will do like this weird movement during the warp, and that'll just throw off everything. and it can be really a really unfortunate time. But luckily, he doesn't get in the way too often, and it's not usually an issue. So Flakes and Jeynick over here onto Imperial Grand Prix again, which was our very first track. So the way that the circuits 4 through 6 work, other than being mirrored, is that the tracks are played in reverse order. So we started with Desert Adventure Dragway, and we moved our way to Imperial Grand Prix, which is where we are now. Strats are generally the same for mirrored and non-mirrored. In fact, if you ever run the single race category, you can do it on the mirrored or non-mirrored version. It doesn't really matter. There is a shortcut on this track. It's right there on the left for Flakes. So some CPU opened it. There are a couple barrels and pieces of wood in the way that you have to open with the use of a red power-up. Ooh, Flakes got cursed. There was a random curse, which is something we haven't even talked about yet. But there was a random curse on the track, which is the yellow brick plus 3 white bricks. And so the curse, essentially what it does is it decreases your speed, but also your left and right inputs are swapped. That was I was not expecting that. That's a very interesting spot. So Flakes is actually going through the shortcut because it was opened. Oh no! He tried to use the green, which is the toughest brick to pick up coming out of the shortcut, but he accidentally swapped it into a red right before he could use it. And so unfortunately for him, that is a pretty big time loss, and that's too bad. But again, it was kind of funny. I had a good laugh. I'm sure Flakes is having a good laugh about it as well. And that is Johnny Thunder circuit. So circuit 5, which again is the mirrored version of the King Kahuka circuit, is Baron Von Baron from the Adventurers theme, or they changed his name to Sam Sanister, but we won't talk about that. So Baron likes the shields, kind of like Kahuka. They both are shield enjoyers. That's just what they are. It doesn't really affect us too much. And again, so Jeynick here just going to take the warp right into the corner. Very tight turn right there out of the warp, but it lines you up pretty well. Warping into the corner, you always pretty much end up in the same spot, so you know kind of where you're going to be, how tight you're going to have to turn, things like that. So Vincent here wrapping up Johnny Thunder a little bit more behind. So Jeynick has a significant lead now that Flakes had an unfortunate IGP. We'll see if he can hold it, but there's definitely plenty of time for things to go horribly wrong for any of our runners. Again, it's not like extremely RNG heavy, and there is quite a bit of skill needed to play this. It's not like RNG or nothing. This is a tough game. So we'll see how the rest of the circuit goes for all 3 of our racers here. So one other thing that we may or may not have seen, I think I saw it pop up in the chat a few times, is there on the character select screen when you're selecting a new circuit. Usually your character, when you select it, will do one of 3 different animations. He'll like spin around, or he'll jump up and down, or something like that. And that although is pretty minimal, it takes up time. So Vincent discovered that if you're kind of spamming through the character select and then hit enter, you will completely skip that animation. It only saves like 1 to 2 seconds, but doing that 7 times saves 14, 15 seconds, which even over a 45-minute run can still be pretty significant. So unfortunately for Vincent there, he's just having to boost through this waterfall area. He shouldn't have an issue getting this green on the bridge unless it's swapped. Oop, yep, spawn back just in time. And then as long as he has 1 more white brick up here, he should be able to warp. But Jeynick and Flakes are back to Ice Planet Pathway, round 2. Again, pretty standard track. Just grab as many greens as you can. There are quite a few greens on this track. And we use them laps 1 and 2, and Flakes is actually just opting to use them here. He's not going to try to warp. Actually, he's going to try and do this. The sneaky, slow turnaround into the warp. That's probably slightly faster than just boosting it out or doing the warp like normal, because you get one extra boost out of it. again, he can do things like that because he has a wider hitbox. He's able to sort of pick up bricks that he otherwise wouldn't be able to grab. That's just one of the perks of running 2001. The other thing is that if you want to run the 80% category with glitches, you need to run on 2001. I think we've gotten some of them to work on 99, but they are more likely to work properly on the 2001 version. Jeynick over here back onto Royal Knight Raceway. Again, much the same as before, you're just going the opposite direction as you normally would. And so I say that you're warping a lot, and you are warping a lot, but you need to warp in the right locations. If you kind of just like warp at random times, or like you're not picking up a white brick as you go into a warp, you're sort of setting yourself up for a more difficult time in the future. So like there, Jeynick had warp about 5 seconds before he actually used it, just so he could warp into another white brick. He wants to make sure that he can set himself up in the future for another warp, and so when to use the warp is another thing. And so on Jeynick's screen here, he's actually not going to take the shortcut this time. He's taking the right path to get these 3 white bricks just chilling there. And that's a strat that he took because of how many white bricks he had in his inventory at the time. He knew that going through the shortcut wouldn't help him. Not only is it off-road, but he would only get 1 white brick out of it, and then another green, and that wouldn't help him warp. So he decided to take the normal path that all the CPUs take. Flakes might also do that too to pick up more whites, but he's actually just going to go straight for that white brick there. Flakes had a short warp. Unfortunate, but something for me to talk about. So, again, warping paths are very strange. We don't fully understand how they work, but Flakes, for whatever reason there, did not warp very far. He got a short warp, which just means, again, he didn't warp as far as he was supposed to, which is unfortunate, because you don't necessarily waste a warp, but you might get that from not pressing the gas. So when these guys are warping, they're not always holding accelerate. They're sometimes taking a break from holding accelerate during the warp. It helps you set up like where you land, where you end up on the track, things like that. And so sometimes things like short warps can be caused by doing things like that. So Vincent just had a castle warp there. That's essentially just when you grab the white brick by the castle that we almost never get, and then just finishes off RKR that way. So Jeynick is having some pretty solid flying strats here on Tribal Island Trail, which we are back to. Flakes as well. Flakes goes inside hard and picks up a white brick that's more in the corner so he can get farther with his flight and then warp. And then you may have also noticed Flakes picking up a yellow power-up. So the yellow power-up I don't think I've talked about yet other than the curse. The base yellow power-up is an oil slick, which really doesn't do anything for us, except for whatever reason when you use it, your car sort of hops. Like it moves up, and you can sort of use it to get going through the off-road more easily. Like it kind of bounces you above the ground, and so you're spending less time on the off-road. And then one other thing Flakes is going to do here, since he only has 2 greens or 2 whites in his inventory, he's going to grab this green, go swimming in the pond there to grab a 3rd white brick, and that will get him to the finish line just a little bit faster. Normally, you'd like to not go swimming, but sometimes if you need a white brick or 2, at least those are there for you when you need them. All right, Jeynick, on to Circuit 6. Gypsy Moth, Insectoid Boss Lady. And so we are back on Alien Rally Asteroid Mirrored. He's going to grab this shield quick so he doesn't get pulled back by the UFO. If you are driving and you don't have a shield on, the UFO will pull the lead player, whoever it gets to first, backwards, and you'll lose a pretty large chunk of time. It won't be fun, won't be good, but you can just use the shields to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So pretty good lap 1 there from Jeynick. Flakes is about a little more than a lap behind, but we'll see how this track goes. Again, we have another Adventure Temple trail coming up next. a horrible RNG heavy track that can literally change the entire outcome of this race. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how the rest of this ARA goes for our players here. But so far, Jeynick looking pretty solid ARA so far. But again, we'll see how things play out. Let me know what your favorite Lego theme is in the chat if you want, either from this game or just overall. Mine, I think, is probably the Explorians. I really like Magma Moon Marathon, just overall the track, and I think that's a cool theme as well. I believe we are only at 2 40+ second laps. I don't think I've seen another one yet, but so Jeynick's on to ATT here, Adventure Temple Trail. This is the leading candidate for a 40+ second lap, so we'll have to see how it goes. So he's back in the shortcut here. That looks like another bumpless. So bumpless is just, the shortcut is very narrow, and it's kind of dark at the start. You kind of have to already know like where you're going. And so bumpless is just getting through the shortcut without hitting any of the walls. Walls are always going to slow you down, no matter how you hit them. But he made it through without hitting a wall, which is the most optimal way to go through that shortcut. Flakes now onto ARA or ATT, again doing his Mickey Mouse strats, picking up these 2 whites here, and then what he's going to do is he's going to drive over to the side here, grab a white, and warp into a white. That's just it's pretty fast, arguably equal to going through the shortcut, doing the normal strat like that. And Flakes is here for the memes, always. He's always memeing, so we enjoy it. Looking like Jeynick had a good lap 2 so far. He's got 2 in his inventory plus the green. He is ready to warp through the shortcut again. Vincent heading into the shortcut now. Slight bumps, but made it out pretty well. So Jay into the shortcut warp, got his green, ready. Unfortunately, no whites there for him to fly. That's okay, as long as he can get past this area. So Vincent just dropped a curse. Vincent dropped his strat on me like an hour before this race. He, on lap 1, rather than boosting where most people would boost, he actually drops a curse. And the reason for that is to slow down the CPUs. On lap 3, a lot of the times, the CPUs really get in your way a lot. It can be a really unfortunate time. They can really mess up your race. That was almost a 40-second lap. That was close. So he drops a curse right at this location he's at now. That was an unfortunate zapper moment right there. Lost two of his white bricks. Here's a magnet trap. Luckily he had a shield. Magnet traps are essentially the same as the UFO. They will stop you, pull you backwards, keep you immobile for a period of time. But again, Vincent is using that curse on lap 1 to slow down the CPUs, really to set up lap 3. It's a new strat I had not seen before. I was not expecting him to tell me he was going to do that, but I like it. That's the thing about this category. You can kind of make up your own strats, and they're not always going to be, top tier, but they're definitely pretty big brain, like unexpected. Pretty fun. So over here on Flakes and Jeynick, we are back onto Pirate Skull Pass. Jeynick looks like he had a good lap 1. He got the PSP trick again. Flakes going for it, lap 1. Boom, easy game, easy life. So things looking pretty good for Jeynick. He's having a very solid run. I'm not sure where he's on pace-wise. Green, I don't know if you know where he's on pace-wise either, but he's having a pretty good. Oh, yep, thank you. There's a 43-second lap from Vincent, so that is 3. So up to $15. Big hype for charity. I'll try to get mine in quick. I want it to go towards the drill for next run, so I'll try to get it in right after this race is done. Let's see. So Jeynick's one white short there where he normally want it, but he had one right there ready to go, and easy warp. So not a great lap 3, but not, he had good laps 1 and 2, and honestly that's a fine PSP lap 3 given the RNG. Unfortunate for Flake, there was a red where his green wanted to be. Not horrible, he'll just have to pick it up here. There's the green, so that'll spawn. He'll warp immediately. Kind of bounce around here. He will hopefully be able to pick up a green here, but there are, oh, unfortunate. So when someone gets hit with a cannonball, there's sort of an explosion that happens on the ground, and if you drive through the explosion, you will be slowed down, and that unfortunately happened to Flakes there. But you know, not the worst thing, but not the best. We see Jeynick here, lap 1 of Night Marathon mirrored. Again, he'll be boosting into this blue to swap with the red so that when the CPUs come through, they will immediately use the shields, and that will free up any potential white bricks they may be holding. Looking like Vincent had a, I'm not sure what happened to Vincent. He's got shields, but he's ready to warp now, and he's gonna probably warp into this white here. Yep, just have another white in the inventory. He picks up a second white there. If there's a green here, he'll be able to warp or fly. Unfortunately, there's not. Now Sam might cannonball him. We'll have to see how that plays out. So yep, boom! That was amazing timing. So Sam was shooting a cannonball at Vincent. Sam Sinister, that is, one of the CPUs on the circuit. But Vincent was smart, grabbed the shields, blocked the cannonball, saved some time. Big claps for Vincent. Looks like Jay is set up well here. He's gonna have his normal warp right there. Boom, pending any short warp shenanigans, he's good to go. All right, and that is Circuit 6 done for Jeynick. He has got about a 1-lap lead on Flakes and about a 3-lap lead on Vincent. So Jeynick has 1 race left, Rocket Racer Run, or if you play on the N64, Rocket City Run, for whatever reason. So Rocket Racer isn't, it's technically Circuit 7, but it's only 1 track, and it is quite the track. There's a chance that one of the laps won't count. There's a chance Jeynick warps 9 times. Anything is possible, really. And so I'll bring up the last 2 things that I was going to do for donation incentives. If all of our players finish sub 45, which they won't, I was going to donate $50. If any of them get the 9 warp Rocket Racer Run here, I'm going to donate $100 because I severely doubt that it will happen, but we'll see how it goes. So right here, you already noticed all the racers are squished together. Rocket Racer got the boost, but Jeynick luckily picked up the cannonball, was able to get ahead of him. Rocket could really ruin your day if he gets out ahead of you, because he'll just be warping ahead of you. You've got to play catch up. A lot of your bricks are going to be missing. He might be swapping reds with greens, which isn't what you want. So Jay not going for the 9 warp strat. He just wants to finish this out here. I don't know if he knows that he's ahead, but he had a. I was in call with him the other day. He had a 5 warp start, which is pretty good. So Flakes here is having an unfortunate start. Rocket Racer Run, but Rocket himself is actually behind, so Flake should have no issues, having this race under control. Jeynick doing some interesting warp strats, but he's already on lap 3. He's flying through this. He's going to be done. So time is going to be in about 20 seconds or so, just for Jeynick, for whoever's doing the timing. We'll be at time here in just a little bit for Jeynick. So Flakes is doing the only shortcut on this track, which is shooting a cannonball at this door, and then it essentially just is another warp, like through the middle of the circle part of the minimap there. So here's Jeynick warping, and time will be now. Time for Jeynick. I think that was a 45:15. Pretty good time. That's actually a very respectable time. His PB is a 44:54. But a 45-minute in a race, especially, is very good. Unfortunate RNG there for Flakes, having no greens here, but I guess that doesn't really matter. He'll have time to pick up white bricks, and then pick up a green here. Vincent, lap 1 of Rocket Racer Run right now, warping in the normal spot, picking up, doing the flight strat. So the flight strat here for Vincent, he'll be able to pick up 3 whites there and a green while flying, which is very good. That's an extra bonus. Like a 24-second lap is pretty good. Now he's just going to kind of boost his way out. Probably pick up a couple more. Oh, just going to fly again. Fair enough. Honestly, flying is not a bad strat. You fly for about as long as you would warp. And obviously it's slower because the warp gets you there in a matter of seconds. But flying is still a very good backup. If you're ever, 1 white brick. Oh, right into the curse. But luckily, if you get cursed and then you warp, the curse cleanse, you will not have any effect of it as long as you get out of it right away. And so Vincent's going to use the magic wand here to open up the shortcut, warp straight through the middle of that circle there, and he's just going to finish it off here. Another flight, pick up some whites, I missed one. He missed the curse, luckily. I think he was actually thinking he was going to hit it because he started turning right into the wall. So he's going to warp here momentarily. And that is time for Vincent. Wow, what a race. That was pretty tremendous. Big GGs to all our runners here. Thank you to Vincent for staying up. It is super late for him in Australia. So thank you, Vincent, for that. Thanks to Jeynick and Flakes. I hope you had a great time. I had a good time talking at you for 45 minutes. Yeah, that's LEGO Racers. If you ever want to come check us out, hit us up in the LEGO Speedrun server. We're happy to help you out in any way that we can. Thank you.